Hi there, and welcome to Oz Hour, the only place where you can hear everything you never knew about the wonderful and strange land of Oz.
That's right. Today we are coming to you with a very special episode of Oz Hour. As promised long ago, we're going to be covering the ultimate cultural touchpoint for The Wizard of Oz, the 1939 feature film starring Judy Garland.
There is a lot to unpack here, so you can consider this the first of many episodes discussing this iconic adaptation. And for today's episode, we are going to focus on the differences from the book, a few fun facts, and then some of our favorite parts as we drink our way through the entire film.
We're your hosts, Blake Stone
and Wyatt Swangham.
And as always, joining us is Hannah Aguirre. But this time, with a twist. The three of us watched the movie together, so in this episode, there's no Oz initiate, only Oz experts.
Woo, woo, woo.
That's right.
Mama's educated.
Mama's educated.
Welcome to the ranks of the Oz experts. We'll expect you to pass an SAT test for this, so study up.
Which, frankly, is the only type of test high school age kids need to be taking, is an Oz SAT.
Okay, there we go. I was like, where's this going?
Oz SAT.
We'll workshop it later.
So tonight things went a little different than usual, and today, before we started recording, Wyatt went ahead and whipped up 4 different cocktails that we'll be enjoying and drinking throughout tonight's episode.
The Wizard of Oz, released August 25th, 1939. Part 1, Kansas.
So, as I mentioned, we're going to be having 4 different signature Oz cocktails tonight. Oz Tales? I don't know.
Yeah.
Fun.
So, Wyatt, what's the first one we're going to be having?
So our first drink tonight, I hesitate to call a cocktail. It's really just a shot. It is the Grey. It is the Grey Gulch Gulp, and it is just a shot. It's half Irish Bailey's Irish cream and half a coffee liqueur. So it's a little pick me up, and it's gray.
It's got like a gray
It does look
sepia
gray.
thing going on.
Yes. So look forward to that gray drink, and let's have a first sip/shot.
Oh.
Whiskey.
Never in my
Happy
life.
holiday. Tastes like Christmas.
I will be sipping on that.
Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but right off the bat, I noticed that things were really different. A 32-year-old Dorothy was running from some unseen aggressor with Toto in her arms, and she's like,
Okay.
we're going to be okay. Like,
But you got to go back, because right from the top, it's pretty different. We get a title card that pays homage to the original books.
Oh,
The
that
whole
was
thing,
sweet.
and there's an extremely drawn-out musical number that goes through basically a reprise of everything in the show. But then you get a little title card
they
that
call
says...
it an overture.
Yes, exactly. A whole little thing. a little
I don't
overture.
think I paid attention to the title card.
Well, basically it said this picture is dedicated to everyone who's loved these characters for more than 40 years.
Actually, I read that out loud to you
You
guys.
did, yeah.
You were just so starstruck.
I remember now.
Yeah. It was a long time ago,
Yeah.
last week. But yeah, so I mean, it starts out with an homage, but yeah, a reference in the movie acknowledging hey, this is where it comes from. Basically the equivalent of a modern day, based on true events. So
Totally.
that, yeah, not that that's different or anything than what happened in the book, because that is what the book did. But I thought that was sweet. It was nice.
Yeah, thanks, Frankie.
Yeah. Well, based on true events, because in the book it wasn't a dream.
Exactly, yeah. And we'll get there, man.
Oh my god, we need to make Oz Hour based on true events shirts or something.
Yes.
But yeah, so Dorothy and Toto are running down the path, and they enter Aunt Em and Uncle Henry's huge, immaculate farm, which was an immediate difference for me.
Yeah.
It's a very different version of Kansas. And also from the beginning, it's so dramatic. Because in the book, I mean, there's no drama. The only drama that happens is she gets sucked up in a cyclone. But
Well, it just seems very immediate that happened. And we didn't
That's
get
true.
any introduction to Aunt Em or Uncle Henry. The way I thought of Aunt Em this time, I was like, oh, she's a bad bitch. She's in
Yeah.
charge of this farm.
She has a
that
personality.
She has her little workers, those
Okay.
3 guys who we don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
I actually got to see a little bit of Aunt Em, where now I'm like, oh, I could see why she wants to go back home.
Yeah.
Before I was like, ugh, boring.
When we were watching it, I was like, you can take bad out from in front of it. She's just a bitch. She's a mean old, like grumpy lady. She was so rude.
It just didn't seem like there was a real relationship there.
No.
I mean, kind of
Yeah,
that.
Dorothy's feeling really unloved from jump, in my opinion, which makes sense. I mean, they're super busy. They've got this huge farm to cover, and
But
they've even
they're-
got like farm hands.
I was gonna say they're not as busy because what we know from the film,
It's not
or
just
from the book-
Dorothy out here, a 12-year-old
Yeah.
lifting everything.
Although-
I thought as Dorothy as a muscular ass 12-year-old because she was, busy as fuck. This time she's just playing with pigs.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
has a dancer's
this-
body.
This Dorothy's never worked a day in her life.
No.
No,
Oh my
soft
God.
hands.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting too because like the farm hands being there, yes, but at the same time, Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are still doing work. Like they're putting all those chicks into her like
They
into
were
her
counting
apron.
them.
We had
They
a
were like-
Belina feature.
They were counting
I
the
know.
chicks, and Dorothy was like interrupting them, and they're like, "Dorothy, shut the fuck up! We're
Yeah.
counting these things, and they're moving all over
You know
the
what?
place."
You're right. They're not as sweet in the movie as they are in the
I
book.
guess that's
I'll
true,
admit that. Yeah.
It seems busier.
It does.
It's
well,
so
and they have
busy.
a bigger farm. Like also the house. I mean, we'll get into it, but that house was not a building with 4 walls and a trapdoor in the bottom. In the movie, that was an entire ass farmhouse with. It had a kitchen. like
Yeah.
it wasn't a studio.
They're rich. They're Kansas wealthy. It seems.
I mean,
to
they
me.
pay 3 farmhands, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, very different. But we meet, we see that she's telling them how, Mrs. Gulch is being a bitch and like yelling at her. She arrested the farmhands. There's a whole little interchange. It's a whole thing.
Drama.
It is drama.
Like when Aunt Em brought everyone those like gigantic mozzarella sticks and yelled at them.
oh yeah, she's like, here, eat your fried baked
what
good.
was that thing?
Were they like fritters or something?
I don't know. They were huge.
Yeah.
From the book, I got the sense that there was like zero conflict in Kansas, other than that it was dull and boring. Here, it seems like there's a lot of conflict in Kansas. There's Miss Gulch. There's a busy farm. There's like feeling unwanted.
Yeah.
So Dorothy, what does she do about it? She sings.
She sings Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
And did you guys
Beautiful.
notice like the cut to the clouds where it looks like she's longing for eternal bliss with her heavenly
yeah,
father?
the heavens opened up.
I did remember that.
Also, my 2 notes for this like dream sequence of a song when she leans into that fucking stack of hay and it looks like it's memory foam and she just like sinks in.
Yeah, it's probably like a cardboard
So
cutout or something.
Probably.
Because I've sat on hay before and it doesn't feel like
It's
that.
firm, yeah.
My back shatters.
She looked like she was having a good time.
And little Toto.
I was gonna say I'm gonna be going ahead. I have a specific color code for Toto in my notes. I don't really, but I should because I noted everything he did. He is such a prince in this movie. The way that he teleports up onto the tractor seat
Yeah, I
during
was
this
like, how'd he get up
song.
there?
Yeah, he's
I
just
don't
That was
see
a
there.
big
any-
jump for a little boy.
yeah. But he just sits so pretty, and Dorothy like, grabs his little foot.
Oh my
it's
gosh,
adorable.
he's like sitting there waiting to give his paw to her
yeah,
for so long.
he needs her to
Yeah,
take
it's
it
He's
like,
like,
from
you're
him.
going to have to take that.
Honestly, that's yours.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take that.
I honestly, the way she absentmindedly took it, I kind of felt like he was doing that like as a stress behavior, and she was just like, "Let me take
Okay,
that,
dude, yeah.
Father."
Like, you want me to
was
take
Toto-
that?
I mean, I guess this is more behind the scenes, but I just really hope that Toto was okay during this movie. If
He
there's
was
anything
good.
bad, okay.
He
I
was
was like,
paid
I don't
more
know.
than the Munchkins,
He was,
but I don't know what
Yeah.
training a dog looked like back then. I know what training Judy Garland
I'm sure-
looked like, and it
okay.
wasn't good.
Well,
so.
they probably didn't have a little whip for Toto. I'll tell you that. But he looks
Man, a big one.
distressed. yeah.
His body was thrashed after the movie.
No, he was
As we
long.
know, the main Kansas antagonist shows up after the song. Miss Gulch shows up with a fucking warrant.
Also, First, that is also the namesake of our drink tonight, the Grey Gulch Gulp.
Oh my God, I didn't even put that together.
Yeah, Gulch is also a word, and they could be gray, so I could see the ambiguity.
Yeah.
But also when she's riding in on her fucking bicycle,
That posture.
and also the fact that she almost ran over 3 chickens. Like
Oh,
she
yeah.
was just like, oh my God,
I totally
It was
missed
like she was
that.
on a BMX or something.
Yeah,
Like, it
she wasn't
so-
stopping for
Yeah.
anything.
I think that like flash forward to a later episode or a previous episode, but like Belina's friends have gotten killed under her wheel. Like
oh
I'm
my
sure
gosh,
that-
they
my God.
have.
She was
necks have been
racing.
broken.
Oh God. Yeah, and she wouldn't even care because she is horrible. And she has the sheriff's order to arrest Toto.
Yeah, have him destroyed as a matter of
Yeah,
fact.
more than arrest.
It's insane. My only other note is just that like Toto didn't want to fucking go away so bad, and Dorothy calls Mrs. Gulch a witch, which I think is
Oh,
fun, you know.
yeah.
Like
That is.
And then
she knows.
Uncle Henry has to put Toto in the basket, and it's just heartbreaking. And then Aunt Em, who is a big bitch, tells
Myra Gulch.
yeah, she's like, I want to call you what I think of you, but I'm a Christian woman, so I can't. So just so we're all clear, she doesn't want Toto dead. She's not a bad
Yeah.
lady. She was putting the chickens into her apron earlier, and that's why she acted serious. She's nice.
But honestly, Christian or not, I'll tell Elmira Gulch exactly what I think of her. Are you kidding me?
We're going to have to warm up the bleeping machine. Something that I think is interesting is Dorothy wants to run away from home so quickly after this. Like
Okay.
after Toto phases out of that fucking basket and then teleports into her window, which is, by the way, 4
He's
feet
quick
tall.
for a little
Okay,
dog.
that
Yeah.
soft little wicker basket was not going to
Yeah, she didn't
contain
I
even
guess that's
seal
true.
it. She didn't seal it. Anything could pop its little head out of there.
But
That's
honestly, Dorothy already, like, when she entered, she was feeling super misunderstood. And now, like, Toto's back. He was supposed to be destroyed. She's like, we've got to run away. Because, like, of course, like, I don't want to lose my dog. I'm a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like the law is involved, so it's
Yeah,
you know
like-
you literally think you're like, well, now my dog's run away and he's been arrested. Now I'm accomplice.
Toto's been
Exactly.
arrested.
I'm gonna
An
get arrested
accomplice.
too.
Exactly.
You know? Like,
I
that's a-
literally.
Harboring a fugitive.
If she's actually
harboring a
supposed to be
fugitive.
9 to 11, then
Yeah.
that's what she would think.
When we were watching it, I literally wrote, Toto comes home to Dorothy, who loves her dog so much that she's prepared to hit the road and take up a Bonnie and Clyde style life of crime with him.
She does.
that's
She packs her
exactly what they
little
do.
stick and bag.
Oh,
thing.
totally. I mean, the little hardened criminal even steals a sausage in the next
I
freaking
know.
scene.
Oh, my
that's
god. Yeah, we'll get there.
right.
And we do get there really quickly because also apparently down the road is parked Professor Marvel in
Totally
his
legit.
wagon.
I will say I have a lot to say about this.
Please,
man.
do you want to take the lead on this section?
I kind of do. I think that this guy kidnaps children and has him in his little circus that he and uses them as labor to
I
make
won't
money.
have this slander.
I know he's creepy because then all of a sudden, well, I don't want to jump ahead.
No, please, you're in charge.
Okay, but like
Drive.
when he had his little turban, maybe magic cap thing, and decided to start using the crystal ball to, tell Dorothy what her family thinks, then she runs off and he's like, "Oh shucks," because he wanted to take her.
No, he said, poor little kid. I hope she gets home all right.
I don't believe it.
Something also that is interesting. So there is a lot going on in this scene. And I think it also speaks a little bit to like 1920s spiritualism a little bit. But right? Is that an ooh right or ooh
That's
wrong?
an ooh, L. Frank bomb. Oh.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, save it.
But but something that's interesting, like knowing, like we all know, big spoiler, it's a dream in the end, apparently. But it's like, so this Carney guy, he's not actually the Wizard of Oz. Like, he's not a good guy. He's just
a
some
humbug.
Carney. But he's some in the real world, outside the dream, he's just some Carney on the side of the road. That is inherently dangerous. And the way he acts a little bit is creepy. It's
He
also
is
like
creepy.
I don't think
He's
that
creepy.
I don't think Dorothy was gonna get killed. I did in my notes say that they're pretty eager to
Not
trust
killed,
him.
but used and abused.
What
True.
he does,
You're
what he does is actually like really sweet.
Well, it is,
He
yeah.
he's like, oh, how about a free reading? And she closes her eyes and he tells her everything she needs to hear to go back home.
My actual
You know.
note is he is really sweet and just sends her home perfectly. That's what I
Yeah.
actually wrote about
He said,
him.
get your ass home.
Yeah.
I was on the other side of the spectrum, and I want to stay
but
there.
you know what?
No,
You're a
stay
woman.
there. Stay
You know
there.
what?
We'll
As
add
a
the
woman,
little-
we are not going to silence you.
But he does let Dorothy run out into a windstorm, which I think
Yeah.
is insane. I'd be like, no, please hunker down in this trailer with me
guess,
because
yeah.
I
I
mean
guess
that's
what
better than running down the road. How far is she gone?
True.
It can't be that far. I mean, it's
didn't seem that
this
far.
entire movie happens in one day.
Yes.
So that's that.
Yeah, that's insane.
But we'll get there. We won't,
here's a
but-
huge difference: is that in the book, it's all Toto's fault that we go to Oz. It's all
Yes.
Toto's fault that we
I
stay
wrote
in
this
Oz.
down too.
Dorothy is in big trouble with me here. I am not happy with her.
Here's my question: who bit Mrs. Gulch?
Toto. He didn't cause the tornado.
No, but if he hadn't bit Mrs. Gulch, we were gonna get to this later, but I'll say it now. I was gonna get to it later, but he bit Mrs. Gulch because he was in her garden. He is the reason that he was taken away. If he wasn't taken away, she would have been home to go into the cellar with everyone else, which we're not even to yet.
She would have never had to run away.
There
I
are
guess.
2 times when
Damn,
Toto
I have to
does
fix
a
my
bad
notes
thing.
because I was like, I do not blame Toto for this.
No,
I was too. I was like, fucking Dorothy.
Yeah, I was
But
like, she
still-
decided to go into the
she
house.
still did something crazy.
She got home. She was like on the front side of the house, and they're all going into the cellar in the back. And instead of going around to the back side of the house, she just goes in
Exactly.
going, and him.
Like
Okay,
they're
you
gonna
know what?
be
Go to the
there.
cellar. You're 85 years old.
And
Go
you
to the
have
cellar.
to know. You have to know that they have a cellar. So you see this which we see the tornado in the background.
It's huge.
You
How
know
come?
where to go. You haven't been trained for this. You're in
This is-
Cyclone City.
It's not her first. Yeah.
There's just a lot because this is some of the most. I mean, okay, it's some of the most recognizable and like, I guess important, sure, but like scenes in like cinema, like with the like a twister, like the whole thing. It's just
yeah.
like, you know, I don't know, like everyone has seen it, and then Aunt Em is calling Dorothy like a little piggy, her little Dorothy. Yeah, absolutely insane.
She's the only one that cared.
Yeah, everyone else is like, get in the
Everyone's
cellar.
like, just
get in the cellar.
get in. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's like,
I mean,
are you
have
kidding
you
me?
Been in an emergency?
I guess
But-
so, but if I had a
She's the
fucking
mama.
my kid or something,
Yeah.
or like even
She
one
isn't a
like
bitch.
one of you
No
guys
bitch.
or Charlie, I'd be like, I don't know, maybe I would go in.
You know what? The thing
I would leave all of you behind.
Damn.
But I would hope that we were all running the same direction. I'd be like, Hannah, come on, but I'm not gonna like wait
I guess
for
yeah.
you.
No, you're right.
Also, though, what we're gonna see is like things are crazy. Like Dorothy. Okay, so now they're all in the cellar, right? Now we're seeing Dorothy running down the street. She gets to the front of the house, and the fucking screen door flies off. That could have hit Aunt Em in the head and killed her. So it's like, you're right. She should be going down there. Everyone should be going down there and hope that Dorothy comes.
Yeah.
But it's insane.
Dorothy does get her ass laid out by a window frame.
oh yeah,
um,
because she
and-
doesn't just go to sleep.
Yeah, she
No,
gets her ass.
she gets
knocked
knocked
out.
Yes, she does.
Like, I mean, she does just go to sleep after a big.
Yeah.
But yeah, she wakes up inside of the cyclone, which was a really cool like projection magic scene. I liked.
Yeah. Also, I think it's funny because in the book, she's like awake when she gets sucked up, takes a nap, and then wakes up on the ground. But in this, she gets sucked up, gets knocked out, and then wakes up in the air. And
Yeah.
Toto hates the cow that's flying by. Yeah, he is going off on that cow projection.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Something that is pretty different from the book than the movie is that, unlike in the book, the landing of the house is violent and horrifying, and Dorothy is screaming. She is screaming. Her bed is getting rocked across the entire ass room. In the book, she literally gets gently set down, is what we're told.
It doesn't even stir her.
No,
nap.
yeah. That is not the case here. That is not what's happening here.
But at least when it finally clatters to the ground, she goes, "Oh,
Yeah, you're right. She just
she's
goes,
okay."
But then she opens the door, and as we've all seen before, in Technicolor, we go from black and white to a full color set. And Dorothy walks out and begins to admire and cherish.
To which I said,
Yeah, yeah. Very true to the book of just like, oh, like, well, her look and like just kind of her like walking out and being like, where the fuck am I? But like, she's
Yeah.
wearing a little gingham dress.
Not true to the book, but not everything was blue.
Yeah. Well, we're going to
Yeah.
get there, but that is going to be in part 2. But right now, this is the wrap up of part 1, Kansas. Blake, what would you call that?
"On M's a."
All right, you stop that. Part 2, Munchkin Land.
So we're moving out of Kansas and into Munchkin Land, but before that, we should talk about our second of 4 cocktails for the night. So Wyatt, what do we have here?
This second one is going to carry us through the middle part of the book. It is the Ruby Rosé. It is some pomegranate juice, some rosé, and some grenadine, and it's quite red.
Smells very sweet.
It probably is really sweet.
It looks yummy.
All right,
All right,
slurp, slurp,
slurp
slurp.
it up.
Juice.
Sweet.
That tastes like juice. I want to drink it like a 4-year-old. Like,
Same. I'm drinking it with both my hands.
Everyone's upper lip is going to be pink after this.
so we're in Munchkin Land, and first thing I notice, it's looking a little bit more silly and daffy than I would have pictured. It's really cute, but
And also, in the book, she just lands like in the woods, basically. Like, she's not like in town necessarily. There's just a
Yeah.
few munchkins there who see it or who hear it, I guess. and
it's
run
almost
over.
like the wise men who visited Jesus in the manger. It's like they were following the house flying through the sky.
Yeah, they saw it, like, falling. Well, and also, this house is fucked up. Like, when it does the zoom out of it, like, the walls are all janky. Like, in the book, it's just kind of like, boop, I live here now. But this thing hit the ground.
No, yeah, this house fell from the SKY sky.
Yeah. And we get the classic Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. Yeah. So everyone listen for that.
One thing they did get right is the domed roofs.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, all the roofs in Munchkin Land. It was like all the houses kind of looked like mushrooms a little bit. It was like kind of like
they did?
long
That's
cylindrical homes with domed roofs.
You're right.
I do remember seeing a roof with a bunch of eggs.
Oh, yeah.
Munchkins in
Yeah.
them.
Munchkins hatch
We'll
from
get there,
eggs.
bitch.
That's weird.
Interesting.
Something I did think in this moment too, because she didn't land like in the woods and like landed on the edge of town, she could have killed like 4 families.
Oh,
that house is
totally.
big and it lands like right next to the other houses.
She's
I wonder if
lucky.
she did. She might have killed other
Yeah.
people.
What was that space reserved for before?
Exactly.
It was perfectly Dorothy's house
Just where the
size.
Wicked Witch sits, I guess. Like, no, she was probably menacing people.
She's
I think
lucky
others
of all
died.
the things that died was
Yeah.
just the Wicked Witch.
If she had killed a bunch of citizens, they would have been like, "Oh, you're another evil witch. Please, sorry,
Yeah.
we're so sorry."
She was like eating
Glenda
a
wouldn't be
munchkin.
so nice.
no.
Yeah, I just noticed a lot of different colors.
Yeah, like
everywhere.
too many colors.
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed with the colors.
Vibrant. They were like, "Hey, you've been in black and white, like sepia, for the first part of here. We're gonna give everyone a flower."
I don't know. Like my Munchkin Land notes are written in blue, so I clearly had an idea of what that
Okay,
was
there you
supposed
go.
to look like.
No, I was hoping it would be more blue. I liked the whole favorite color moments.
Well, we're not gonna get that, but what we do get is another deviation from the book,
Huge.
being the arrival of a good witch of the north, but this one's name is Glinda.
Glinda
And-
the Bubblegum Princess.
So
Yeah.
she still is the Good Witch of the North?
So in the movie,
Did she say North?
yeah,
Oh.
but yeah. So in the movie, the Good Witch of the North is Glinda, and
so
that's
they
her.
just switched it up altogether.
Yeah, they either
They
gave
combined.
Glinda a different
Yeah.
they blended them because they either gave Glinda a different location or they gave the Good Witch of the North a different name.
Or there's
Like-
just no Witch of the South.
and that's true. That's true too, actually. But they simplified it. It's like not even that interesting, but also though the way she like comes in like in her little bubble is precious.
Yeah, I mean
and beautiful.
Glinda is a warrior princess, not a RuPaul queen.
Yeah, it leads me to believe that they really did just rebrand the Witch of the North as Glinda because this is not giving Glinda vibes.
Yeah.
And let me be clear, Glinda in the movie, absolute queen, slays it. I
love
hear her,
her.
I respect her. But like,
out, come out.
yeah.
But you
All
know
right, here
what
we go.
Glinda in the book would do? She would let you know that the ruby slippers would take you home.
Dude, yeah.
Okay, well that's what's really infuriating. I mean, they have this whole
She just says things, but doesn't have anything behind it. That's what it feels. It
yeah.
feels like the things she says are empty, and that's not the Glinda I know. The Glinda I know.
She's being very airy and like, oh, well, who knows? Like, oh, like, I mean, okay.
Vague.
like-
she's being deceitful,
It is.
honestly. But
It is.
okay, I do
And she even said, "Only ugly witches are bad." That's rude.
that
Yeah.
is rude. That was disrespectful.
That's
but it is
disrespectful.
true.
Why
of
did,
everything
yeah, but
she
then don't
knows.
ask Dorothy if she's
I'm
a
not
witch.
saying it's, I mean, correlation, causation, sure, but she's right.
I do want to say, like, before like all of the conversation that they had, though, we do get like the best song in the movie,
Munchkin
which is
Land musical
the Munchkin
sequence.
sequence. And they're like these funny little cartoon baby people.
Yeah,
but
infantilized.
the big like Munchkin dance and parade. I'm gonna go ahead and call that a similarity to the book because I kind of noticed it for the first time this time, but there's like the part where Dorothy's standing up above them, and they're all just do-si-doing beneath her, and it just looks like this big party that's being held in her honor. Like it just reads like a party rather than a weird like creepy musical number.
Yeah. Well, and you know,
I thought that was like, oh, this is Bach's party.
it is. I mean, by way of, because we are introduced to the Munchkin Mayor, right? And he's just a direct analog to the rich Munchkin in the book.
And I
who
have to
helps
say,
them.
like, my feeling towards this mayor in the movie, oh my God, he's such a cutie patootie, and I just want to squeeze his little cheeks and give him a little kiss on the nose.
He's such
but
a baby.
the one in the book, I just remember, because I listened back to the old episodes just to like refresh my mind, and I thought that mayor was a pedophile.
Yeah.
I was like,
in the book,
Dorothy's
he was more
spending
creepy.
the night.
Yeah.
He's just welcoming her in and just being like, he's an older man to this like young child. That's creepy.
I remember in the first time we recorded, like having to tell you, and it's okay because we never meet him again, and he did not harm her, and she is fine.
No, he's a little
Yeah.
cutie patootie,
I
and I
remember
love
you hating
him.
him.
Yeah. In the movie, my note is he is actually such a little sweetie.
He welcomes her most regally.
Yeah, he's
does.
very
Verify
nice about it.
legally.
Yeah, they do have to verify it legally. And they do. The whole musical sequence walks them basically.
She's an honored citizen.
they're like, hey, you killed the
She'll
witch.
be a bust, be a bust, be a bust in the Hall of Fame.
She'll be in the Hall of Fame. They love it. And yeah, the little Munchkin eggs hatch and they come out from their sleep. Which I'm like, how did you sleep through all of this? Like the witch being killed, the house falling, the parade, Glinda arriving. Like
They're
it's just
babies.
insane.
They just hatched.
And that's true. Yeah, they did. Yeah, rub your eyes, get out of bed, I guess.
Their eardrums aren't ready yet.
And we're also introducing this moment to both the Lullaby League and the Lollipop Guild, which are two very different sides of the same coin.
The Lollipop Guild crawled out of the sewers.
They did.
So they are,
Yeah. No,
they
they
are
did.
foils of one another, the antithesis of one another.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been near Dorothy.
No. That's what they said so far away when they handed her that giant
Yeah,
lollipop.
he leans like as far as he
Yeah,
could
it's
lean.
Like, just so you know.
Yeah.
We stink.
And that's what he talks like. And that's the end of the musical number because something crazy
Oh,
happens.
yeah.
Fire.
Fire, brimstone, murder. The Wicked Witch of the West shows up. And, okay, here's a difference from the book. Because first of all, she shows up way sooner than she does in the book. In the
Yeah.
book,
In the
we
book,
don't even
they have to
meet
go
the
to
witch.
her.
Yeah, we don't know who she is. But in the movie, she shows up really early. And also, she's kind of gorgeous. Like, that green looks great in Technicolor.
Yeah.
Whereas the one in the book is an old hag with, like, a
With one
cyclops
eye. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a big difference in general. Like across the board, she's pretty different, except that she's fucking evil. But she does arrive in this burst of fire. She comes on the scene, which is completely different than the book. And then Glinda threatens her, basically.
Yeah, get out of here before someone drops a house on you. Yeah. I do like when she told her that the Wicked Witch of the West is way worse than her sister, because it reminded me of that, like, the witch which is worse is in the West, which is a witch, which is a witch, which is a witch.
That's us.
That was what it was giving.
In this moment, Glinda is doing the thing, Hannah, that you were saying, which is she's like, oh, if she wants the shoes that bad, they must be very powerful. Bitch, you tell us later on that you knew what they did the whole time.
You know these slippers.
Like, so she gave her good advice, but she didn't give her the whole information.
She's not saying
she
it.
could have given her way better advice.
She's out here keeping her cards close for some reason.
I know.
And I don't really understand why.
By the end of the movie, something good happened for Oz, something good happened for Dorothy.
I mean,
was-
I guess, like, something good happened for Oz, like, yes, but less good things happened for Oz in the movie than they do in the book. In the book, they like got set up with like new royalty in the
That's
event
true.
that
There's-
the wizard flies away and stuff. I mean, they basically were fucked at the end of the book. But yeah, I agree. Like, it makes Glinda way more infuriating that she's just being so blasé, because she's even just like really casually like, oh, you want to get home? Well, I guess you're just going to have to walk all the way to the wizard. Sorry. It's like, you're the only one with the information. What are you doing? It makes it, when she comes back in the end, just so infuriating.
In the book, as we recall, the Good Witch of the North kisses Dorothy on the forehead, and it is a shining little thing that keeps her safe. And in the movie, Glinda kisses her on the forehead. They don't say anything. She's just like, "Good luck, my child," and gives her a little kiss. And then she goes on her way. And I'm like, oh, fun little callback. And there's some other ones that we'll get to too. But I thought it was cute. And I'd never noticed that before. When we watched it the other day, I was like, whoa, that was a kiss.
But they don't give us any. I mean, I guess it doesn't come up later in the story, so it doesn't really matter.
We can imply though
but
that
it's
the
cute,
whole time
it's a fan
she was protecting her.
favorite, like a fan favorite.
That's
type
my
of
head
thing.
canon.
Yeah.
Also, a huge difference from the book is the little slippers that the witch has on her feet. Those are not made of silver.
Oh, what are they made of?
Okay, well, here's something we talked about in the first book. I thought they were made out of actual rubies. My entire life, I've always thought they were made out of literal rubies, but everyone else says no. But they are ruby in color.
The color, yeah.
They are ruby in color.
Yeah, they're from Goodwill.
Okay, yeah. They're all made of microplastics. but a huge difference,
It's
though.
sequence.
Yes. Oh my God. But also like makes sense though, because like it's kind of similar vibe of like Munchkinland being like so colorful and flowers everywhere. Like the witch is this green. They're trying to use Technicolor.
They gotta make it a color.
Yeah, they're like,
shoe.
we've never, I mean, not never, but like Wizard of Oz was one of the first films to use Technicolor. So they like really wanted to pack the punch. And they were like, we're not going to give you color just to show you gray shoes. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, shiny silver shoes still could have been cool, but like, I'm glad they're ruby. They're gorgeous. I love them.
Yeah.
They look great on that yellow brick. But then, I mean, obviously we know she skips down the yellow brick road with the Munchkins waving goodbye to her.
they
and
follow the yellow brick
the
road.
journey
man.
begins.
Yeah. And she's about to walk into a wall at the end of that scene.
That's right.
Yeah.
She was like,
She
okay,
gets
wait.
pretty far down. Too.
Yeah.
I can't really skip any further, but I'll try.
This is a set.
But that is how we end part 2, Munchkinland. And Blake, what would you call that?
Glinda actually kisses Dorothy's forehead, and that's really cool.
Part 3, Meeting Our Friends.
So Dorothy's out on the yellow brick road, and right off the bat, I'm going to call it a similarity. She bumps into a scarecrow who's playing some sick fucking mind games with her.
And Toto hates it. Toto is yowling, barking at this motherfucking scarecrow who's just pointing every which way.
He's like, that shit not right.
Yeah, frightening.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation about like the scarecrow's lack of brains. It feels more or less true to form to the book, I think. And we get like that story about the crows like making a mockery of him.
Yeah.
But it's in like one nice, concise sentence. We don't get the whole King of the Crows
Yeah.
story.
That's what I have is like, okay, yeah, similar to the book, he can't scare the crows. He really tries. He even asks Dorothy, hey, did I scare you? Like, because she lets him down from his little nail, obviously. And he's like,
something that I kind of picked up in that moment when he did get down, he came up with the idea of how she needed to loosen his back end.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
just makes me, I don't know, I feel like it kind of played into a little bit of like, he always comes up with the ideas.
Yeah.
And like
and that's
already
him
he is.
starting off
Actually-
with being like, hey, you should do this. And guess what? It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point because I think it might. I don't know if it was like the same as like, oh, just bend the nail, but I think he actually had the idea in the book,
book,
too of
too.
like how to get himself down.
I think it
Okay.
was.
So that's a good
actually.
observation. That's a great. Wow, Hannah, really good. job.
Remember, I'm
Good retention.
educated. I'm educated now, so now I'm coming up with the ideas.
H.M.
Dude.
Hannah Aguirre. T.E.
Highly educated.
I do want to give a compliment to Ray Bolger because his scarecrow body work
Yeah.
is amazing. That man has no bones,
Yeah.
Okay. There's
no
a
weight less.
there's a bunch of things in like of his character, but one thing I love is when he like falls to the ground. This is during the musical number, so I'm jumping ahead a little, but Dorothy like grabs his little shoulder and like lifts him up with two fingers as if she's actually lifting a scarecrow up, and he just kind of like trails behind her being lifted
Yeah.
up.
He's good
So
at making
cute.
it look like that too.
He's
Yeah.
amazing. He must be using muscles he has no idea are even in his body.
And his little hands are just like his fingers are completely like
Yeah.
limp, and he's just like, I don't know what I can do. I don't know.
He
I'm
must
doing a lot
have
of hand
fists
signs
in those gloves.
The
I I'm obsessed.
The thing I liked about that too, because when in the book, when when you guys described the Scarecrow to me of like what you've read, it was very much of him being like, just being like weird about him not eating and not being able to sleep and all this. But in the movie, it was very much like, I won't be a nuisance to you if I could just please come with you. I don't eat, I don't sleep, like being very much like I'm easy, trying to convince her instead of it being
and
like
I don't have a brain, so I won't manage things.
Yeah, and it's not like creepy and weird. I take it as like, okay, he really just wants to tag along with someone and not be stuck on this pole.
To be fair, we made it weird. It was always easy.
It's weirder in 1901 too than it is in 1940.
But I just say,
Alfred Bomb's a
if we're
freak.
looking at it from my perspective, which is a secondhand.
Yes, you've gotten the story through us.
Yeah, it's like my image of the Scarecrow is different from the movie.
Something that's interesting that actually reminded me, which I don't have in my notes, but that I was thinking about later, is that it's the Scarecrow's idea to go to the Emerald City. Which, by the way, it's the Emerald City and not the City of Emeralds, which is also another difference from the book. But
it's Newspeak.
it is Newspeak. But it's the Scarecrow's like, oh, do you think he'd give me a brain? Like, maybe I can go with you. Dorothy's not like, I bet you could come with me to get a brain. So it's the Scarecrow's idea to even go, which is different from the book, where in the book, she's like, hey, you want to come with me? There's this guy I heard about. Like, she's on one in the book. But in the movie, it's the Scarecrow's idea. That's it.
He's basically asking.
Yeah. Another similarity is that he's still afraid of a lighted match, which I felt like was kind of a throwaway line in the book, but they really use it as a plot device in this movie a few times.
Yes.
They are loving the
times.
flames. Loving those flames.
He does have her carrying her own basket, though, which was a huge Scarecrow difference for me because, honey, you don't have arm muscles. Just hold the basket.
Yeah, that's right, actually. In the movie, he has very immobile fingers, though. But I agree.
It would be hard to hold on to. He'd definitely drop things. We can't have him drop her berries and nuts.
No, or whatever else she has in there. I don't know why she even has
What
that
does she
basket
even have
in the
in that
movie.
basket?
Yeah, honestly,
Maybe
just
she got
Toto.
supplies. Yeah,
Wait,
I
no,
guess.
Toto runs
also,
alongside.
Toto's
That's
running
the thing.
around. He's
I feel
living.
like Toto in the basket is one of those like Mandela effect things where we all
Everyone-
picture Toto in the basket, but I guess he goes in Miss Gulch's basket, but he's never in
does.
Dorothy's
He's only
never
basket.
in the
he's only
basket,
ever
you're
in
right.
2 baskets in the movie.
The witches and Miss Gulch's.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Interesting.
But something else here though, Terry is the name of the Toto's name in real life was Terry. That's
just
his real
called him
dog name.
Terry
I put his name
accidentally.
as Terry in my notes every time
Also,
to respect him
Terry
as an
the
actor.
Terrier.
Is he a terrier?
He's a terrier.
Oh,
Terry
I
the
love
Terrier.
that.
That's pretty cute.
But Terry is during the musical number. I don't, if I only had a brain, Terry is just like he is just running around. There's an extended cut where he like jumps on a pumpkin and sets it rolling down the path. It's insane. But Terry's getting his life. The musical sequence is great. There's a lot of the Scarecrow falling over and being picked up, and then they eventually make their way around the corner, and then they show up in a little bit of an apple orchard.
Yeah, so these apple trees I felt like were probably inspired by the book. Because there's that part where like the Tin Woodman is slashing at the branches in the book, and like the branches are like slithering away and like.
Like late in the book, you
Yeah,
mean?
late in the
Oh,
book.
okay.
So
That's
I
interesting.
felt
Yeah,
like these
living
were probably
trees.
inspired by those, just because it's like a mean tree that's alive.
Yeah.
Talking tree. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I didn't
I mean,
even
wasn't
think
that
about
chapter
that.
even called like attacked by the talking trees?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like the wall of. Yeah, it was. But yeah, it's very that
The bad touch trees.
yes, bad touch trees. They're being mean. They don't want to take the apples, and then the Scarecrow is making fun of them, so they throw the apples, and then they have apples to eat.
Okay, the way that these trees get insulted by the Scarecrow's like little green worms joke actually like really reminded me of Bellina when nobody wants to eat her eggs.
Oh,
And
yeah,
she's like,
or
hey,
calls
what's
them
wrong with my
poison.
eggs?
Yeah.
Exactly. My eggs aren't poison. They're up to standard.
How dare you?
I mean, all the books were out by this time, so they very well may have read them and taken inspiration from
Very
Bellina's
well
character.
could be the yellow hen.
Yeah. But the apples are thrown far and wide. Dorothy makes her way really not that far off the path.
Across the street.
Yeah, just across the street. And she comes to the foot and leg, etc. of the Tin Woodman.
No, so in the
Oh wait, I'm sorry. No, the Tin Man.
Tin
Oh,
Man.
the
I
Tin
have him in my
Man.
notes. It was so hard actually when I was writing my notes to not write Woodsman.
Yeah,
That's what I know him as.
It's so interesting because in the movie, and I think everyone can relate to this, just knowing he's the Tin Man, and you're like, oh, and he was chopping down trees, so he just still has his axe. But it doesn't really make sense. But then you're like, oh no, he's a woodsman. Like that's his thing. Like he goes and cuts wood. That's his job. He's the Tin Woodman. Like, okay, now that makes sense. So interesting.
It's interesting in the book they pass the night at the Tin Woodman's house, and they have to run back for the oil can when they meet him. But in his house, I mean, it does get a cameo. Like it's in the background, with moss all over the roof.
Well, and the witch ends up on top of it.
Yeah, and the witch ends up on top of it. But they don't pass the night. I mean, like you said earlier, it's
Yeah,
all
it's
a
all
day.
one day.
Everything's happening so quickly. Because I was thinking about that as I was writing my notes, and it'd be like, oh, weeks have gone by and a day has gone by. They spent the night here. They spent the night at the Munchkins in the book. You know, days have already gone by the
Yeah.
time that they've met the Tin Woodsman.
It's like
or
they
Tin Man.
walk 4 miles to the Emerald City and then another 3 to the witch.
They travel
and
the
there's 3
country.
back.
Yeah, it's so different. I guess the only explanation, if Dorothy got knocked out and didn't wake up until the morning, okay, she had a full night's sleep. She woke up at 6 a.m. Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Nobody's dreams are that long.
well, I mean, she could have been in a coma. But anyway, though. But yeah, they find the Tin Woodman. They
Trigger warning. Scarecrow body horror.
oh
Because during If I Only Had a Heart, they're like Dorothy and the Scarecrow are whispering in each other's ears, and you can see the Scarecrow's painted on ears, just like in the book how they're painted on. You can see his
Oh.
painted on ear. His ears are totally covered by makeup and then
Ew.
painted on. It looked
Ew,
disgusting.
I didn't even.
I'll pull it up.
Oh, oh God! I was
No.
almost glad I didn't see it.
yeah, that's horrible.
It was horrible.
honestly.
looking. I hated it.
But at that point, they've already found the Tin Woodman. They've
He's got nice
gotten
and
his
oiled
oil.
up.
Yeah, they oiled them up. He's out of there. And that's the middle of the musical sequence, right?
I'm also just irritated because the Tin Man is one of my favorite characters. He has his story makes sense. He wants a heart because he loved so much before, but then he got cursed and then turned into this, thing, this Tin Man, and now he's been stuck and rusted and thinking about his whole life and who he was before, who was a Munchkin before too.
Yeah.
They didn't say any of this. They didn't give him any backstory. At least with the Scarecrow, they did make it clear that he got sewn up by all these people. He had somewhat of his backstory, but they don't even say anything about Nick Chopper. And
Yeah.
I love that story.
They're just like,
and it
hi.
adds depth to his character. Now it's just this guy just wants a heart because
And it would have
the
been
hell of it,
the thing is, it would have been easy for them to write that in because what he says is, "Oh, yeah, I wish I had a heart. When the tinsmith made me, he forgot it." Okay, that's an 8-word sentence. That sentence could have been, "Oh, I used to be in love, but I had some accidents and my body had to be replaced." Okay, it's a little much. Maybe that sounds like
Yeah.
a lot, but
Well,
there's a
I
way
mean,
to do it.
yeah.
Set
I don't
it
think
up
there
better.
is. I don't think there's a way to do it without adding 25 minutes to the movie,
Oh,
unfortunately.
25.
Nick
So
Chopper.
instead, they say hi, and he says hi, and they say, "How's it going?" And he says, "No hot," and they say, "No hot," and then Snow White goes, "Wherefore art thou, Romeo?"
Yes, yeah, in the musical sequence,
And then it's like, "Fam, let's go," and it's like, "Oh." I do like how they keep dousing the Tin Woodman in this oil. And I was like, wow, they are squirting a lot of that on him. And it's worse, I feel like, than oil because it's actually chocolate syrup. And they're just dousing him in chocolate syrup when he's already got all that makeup on him, too.
at least the chocolate is not getting on him. That
That's
paint.
true. It's just on his costume.
Yeah, that paint is
Oh.
such a sealant. I bet they might as well have They might have actually spray painted him, and then just put chocolate on him. It doesn't matter. It's
God,
not on
that
his.
seems
That's
so
true.
bad
He can't
for
feel
you.
that
Oh
chocolate.
yeah, no, not good for you.
But yeah, then the witch is waiting for them on top of the Tin Woodman's house. and talks some shit and throws a humongous fireball at the Scarecrow.
Yeah, which that's a huge fire hazard in general in the movies, and for the Scarecrow particularly. And again, that is
It
the
really
house
seems like every
that Tim
time
Woodman
she
lived
comes
in.
for him.
Yeah, she does.
He's so easy. She's like,
I guess, yeah.
Tin Woodman, I'll make a beehive out of you.
Yeah, she had to really dig for that.
And you will
one.
set your ass on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, what the Tin Woodman uses his special little cone hat to put the fire out.
Yeah,
And
even
then they
though
just
there's
keep
a
going.
hole in it, so it just kind of makes a chimney. But
Before
whatever,
there was
it
that
worked.
powder in it, so maybe there's a bunch of powder in it
Oh, it just-
still. Yeah. I don't know about that, but it works, and he saves him, and the witch just disappears. I guess she could have thrown more fireballs. Why didn't she do that?
She could have killed all of them in that moment.
Well, not
Essentially.
Dorothy though, or maybe
Not Dorothy, because
maybe
that
she
would
could have.
make the magic taste bad. I don't know. We'll talk about it
Yeah,
later.
you're right. The stress hormones. Okay, you're right. So then they just keep going. Well, then they almost go the wrong way. They turn around and point the other way. There's an exotic bird that people think is a dead munchkin,
No,
and
fully
it's not.
alive, fully flapping its wings.
Yeah, it's just a big bird. It is strange though, because they did purchase, or not purchase, but like rent, I guess, a bunch of exotic birds for this scene, or many of the scenes. And I don't really know why, but like it does look exotic. It looks
huge
exotic.
Bird. It looks
bottom
like
line.
an ostrich or something. It's a huge bird.
Yeah.
Then they go on to a lions and tigers and bears oh my kind of situation.
Yeah.
Where
Very
we meet
dark.
our third and final friend.
Yeah.
Which is honestly one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen on television. Just
Okay.
that entire scene is hilarious.
I do want to start out by mentioning, which I think we might have mentioned this before, but what they say, lions and tigers and bears oh my, and you know what they say, a Kalita is just a tiger bear. So when the lion comes in,
It's all
and they're
three.
yeah, it's like exactly yeah. So like they have the lion, and then when they're saying tigers and bears, somewhere out there maybe there's a Kalita, but there are no Kalitas in
Something that's all
this.
mixed together.
Yeah.
Oh my
something
god,
like
they
that.
didn't. Kalitas weren't in the budget.
No,
That's
they already
impossible.
used.
Yeah.
They didn't have the budget for a lion or for a tiger and bear.
They would have had some like
carcass.
Pete's
Yeah.
Dragon ass
Oh my
cartoon
God.
Kalita in there. But yeah, we are met. We're met and we're on our way to the Emerald City with all our friends. Did anyone have anything else about the lion?
No, I feel like it was pretty similar to the book because there's
Super similar.
even
yeah.
that moment where he tried to get Toto and everything, and Dorothy was like, "I'm not having it."
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
her temper is a big similarity.
Mm-hmm.
She has no time for a bully, book or
No.
movie.
Yeah.
Also, the lion does gymnastics when he enters. He runs up a log and then jumps, gets, I think, boosted by a pulley, and then jumps on a trampoline, and then jumps onto the. It's insane.
And he's like
He's a
running
gymnast.
like an actual
He's
lion.
running an
at the
actual lion,
beginning.
and he's wearing the skin of an actual lion. That's what the costume is. It's an
Some
actual
Midsummer
lion
moment.
skin. It is, yeah. That is where we end off with our three friends. And that section was called Part 3, Meeting Our Friends. And Blake, what would you call that?
Ooh. I'm gonna call that Bad Touch Trees.
Part 4, The Field of Poppies.
All right, it is time for our third of 4 drinks. I'm getting sick myself. What's going on? What are we having? What is it? What is this?
Well, the good news is this one is pretty light. So as we're moving into the field of poppies, which are about to be drenched with snow, we are drinking Glinda's Blizzard, which is a frozen treat. It is essentially a strawberry milkshake with some whipped cream vodka, which is not as bad as I thought it was, and it is topped with some whipped cream to be like snow. So it looks like poppies with snow on top
Let us slurp, slurp, slurp.
in it.
Nice
Mustache.
mustache.
I'm part of the crew.
That's fucking good. So jumping in, of course, in the book, the flowers are able to make the gang like fall asleep all by themselves.
Yeah.
But we actually meet the witch in her castle, and she's looking at them in a crystal ball.
Which that crystal ball is a direct allegory to her evil eye.
Absolutely, her all-seeing
That
eye.
is her evil eye that can see far.
Ew.
Yeah. And she is just going off. she's like, she's,
That eye
she's
is
trying to
looking
stop
up and
him.
down, side to side.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because, yeah, like in the book, right, they're just like, poppies just do that, apparently. But in the movie, it's like, no, that's the witch. That's the witch.
Which makes way more sense to me.
Yeah.
personally.
It does. Also, something else that, I don't know, connected to that, though, like in the book, the field mice, come and save the day, which they don't in the movie, which I think
No.
would have been delightful and beautiful, but
That
also
would have been
really hard
cool.
to do.
It probably would have been like a grown ass man in a leotard, and he would have been like, "I'm the king of the
Ew,
field."
yeah,
guys."
and I would have asked for that not to be there.
it's Christopher Walken. He's
Yeah, test audiences did not like that.
Although I do love the field mice, and I was very sad to see they weren't able to make a little cameo.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah.
They could have been like pulling the lion through the field, like look down.
Oh
look
yeah.
down.
Oh, we love a Les Mis moment. But they don't. But anyway, there's just a lot going into it that's different, but the effect is essentially the same. I mean, the gang is like, "Yay, like we're well, for some reason they get to the field of poppies. Yay, let's run." They start running and then they start falling asleep. So
Immediately.
just
I mean,
like the book.
Not having the mice, much like a lot of things, it really sped this along.
Yeah. Well-
because I mean, basically the Scarecrow and the Tin Man just start screaming for help.
Yeah.
Glenda hears their pleas and covers them in
That's the
asbestos
thing.
snow.
Like, it does speed it up because all that happens is the witch says, "Sleep now, there's poppies." And then Glinda says, "No." And then it snows.
Yeah,
like,
let's
it-
superimpose a Glenda on this real quick.
I know. Which, I mean, I love her little face above the poppy field. Like, obviously
Yeah.
beautiful.
Okay, fun thing though, after Glenda helps them and they're all waking up from the snow, we cut back to the witch's castle and she's like, "Someone always helps that girl." She's got something in her hand, doesn't she?
Yeah. I would describe the color of that thing as gold. I would describe the nature of it as a cap. It is a golden cap. In the book, we might recall that a golden cap is what allows her to enslave the flying monkeys.
And it is, like we discussed, like a turban.
Yeah, well, it's like it has that like round, or I guess round shape. Every hat is round, but yeah, like
Yeah, like it's domed.
yes, exactly.
Guess
And
it's not a graduation cap after all.
That's right.
someone just listened to the first season. But yeah, it's just like a throwaway moment, but similar to some other stuff that I think we've already talked about. Like if you read the book, you'd think, "Oh, neat." That's all.
Yeah, it just shows that these people like were paying attention and they did do their homework.
Yeah, and they had 40 years to do it.
And
They
they
had
made
40
a lot
years.
of cuts. So who knows? Maybe it was a bigger deal at one point,
Yeah, maybe there was more explanation for certain things.
Yeah.
So we've made it out of the poppy field, and the best song of the entire movie. You're out of the woods, you're out of the dark, you're out of the night.
Optimistic Voices is like one of my favorite songs from the movie. It lasts all of 39 seconds, but
It's good. Those harmonies are peak.
yeah. Step out of the dark, step into the light. Oh,
Step
man.
into the light.
Okay.
So we're moving toward the city of emeralds, which is actually green.
It's green, yeah. And in the film, we get an homage, right, to the farmlands with the domed farmhouses because it is green and it is. Oh, I see what you mean. Actually, green.
They're not bespectacled.
But not
No.
only that, we also from the book are missing the part where they meet that little family. Is that
Oh,
what we're
the
getting
lame
into?
with the
man.
lame
Yeah.
man. Yeah. So that's
I'm
the
glad
thing.
we didn't meet them. They sounded poor.
It was a little okay.
I feel like the only importance of them was just them being like, "You'll never see the wizard."
Exactly. It's set up. It was
Sorry, I'm becoming one of the Aussians now.
no.
You're becoming my mother.
Yeah.
Never, never, never.
But it is that though, because like in the book, it just sets up. It's like, hey, we're about to go there. Well, no one sees the wizard, like et cetera, et cetera. But in the movie, they're just gonna walk up to the door. Like
And guess what the gatekeeper
Well,
is
and
gonna
also,
say?
I think in a movie format to like make it all that way to be told nobody meets the wizard. I've never even seen him. that's way more devastating when you actually got there in a
Yeah.
movie than
That's
in a
fair.
book when there's like still 100 more pages, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
True,
also, like,
true.
for all we know, they did run into them in the movie, but like, it's just not told to us. Like, because they get to the door, it's not like we saw them walk a lonely road up to the gate. For all we know,
I walk
it's just
a lonely road. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to do that.
Yeah, you set it up.
I did. But yeah, it makes sense that they didn't show the farmers, but they do just get to the gate and they knock or they ring the bell.
Well, first they ring the bell, and then they are told that the bell is broken, so they need to knock. So then they do that instead.
And then a little man answers. It's not exactly the guard of the gate that we get in the book, but it's similar. But he does not put spectacles on them. That's
That's the
for
greenest
sure.
thing that I've seen in that place.
Quite
Yeah, he's so green. He's green
Yeah.
head to toe, and he's like, "Do
I
you
was
want
very
these?"
disappointed with not the amount of green that I saw. And no one was wearing goggles. Not a damn
Nope,
soul.
not a goggle in
Not
Once
a
we got
single
in there, I
person.
was looking at everyone. I was like, just put a goggle on one person and I'll be happy. They didn't put it on
like someone just has them
anyone.
like
They
up on their head.
Yeah, like casually or like on their shirt.
yeah, just like in their neck.
But I
their
mean,
neck.
everyone does still get their mega makeovers, though. You know, like the Scarecrow gets stuffed, Tin Man gets polished.
I did like seeing that, especially the Tin Man and the little wheel brush.
Yeah, what the
Yeah.
hell? That thing was like, meow.
Yeah.
But it also barely touched him.
It was not getting exfoliated.
It is an interesting and fun musical way to expedite the process of them receiving a good welcome, getting to live in the castle. Again,
Yeah.
this is still all the same day, so they really just need a makeover to show us, like,
It's
no, we're
quick.
good. They're good. They had a really good time. And the oh my god, the song is wonderful.
Don't
also.
make me. Please
Yeah.
don't.
No, I
Don't make
won't.
me sing. But yeah, I mean, obviously, the witch interrupts yet another song because she has to write in the sky, surrender Dorothy, and
Which is different than the book.
it
for
is
sure.
different. I mean, all around, like the Wicked Witch of the West is the main antagonist of this story, which I wouldn't say is necessarily true of the book. In the book, I'm not even sure who it is. Like, maybe it's a combo wizard and Wicked Witch of the West.
I think that in the book,
it's just the circumstance.
Exactly. The antagonist is an abstract idea because the antagonist is like your separation from home, basically. Like,
Yeah.
it's the constant like obstacles. Because, yeah, they only really have to deal with the witch on their way to the witch, and then they kill her, and then they have to do a whole other second adventure. So, like, yeah, in the book, the witch isn't the main antagonist, but she's the most visible antagonist. And I guess the, like, distillation of the spirit of the antagonist. So.
Well, after the witch is skywriting, everyone's like, let's go see the wizard.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why they thought they could do that when everyone keeps saying no one's ever seen the wizard, but the entire city is like, oh, the wizard will know, and they all run to the gates and they're turned away. How many times do you think this happens?
Probably never. I think the witches never come to
Well,
the
yeah,
city.
maybe the Emerald, or the city of or whatever that fucking place is called. It doesn't get as threatened.
Yeah, I
it's
feel
being
like
left alone because of the wizard.
think
But
about
nothing ever strikes fear or doubt in these people. Their
well,
lives
they
are
all.
just perfect.
That's the thing. Their lives are. They work only an hour a day. They have
Oh, what
horses
is
that change
it?
color. Oh, they sleep till 10, work till 12, and then take the rest of the day off. I don't know.
Oh.
But
Yeah. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
But whether you're tin or bronze,
Oh, we get up at 12. We start to work at 1, take an hour for lunch, and then at 2, we're done.
That's very close, but it's definitely the right timeline. But yeah, so anyway, everyone there lives in a utopian life with no currency. They're all just beautifully dressed. There's no poverty. There's no hunger. Everything is perfect. So yeah, when the witch comes to them
That's
and writes in the
horrifying.
sky to give them Dorothy, and they don't know what the fuck a Dorothy is.
Honestly, the way they're like, Dorothy, who's Dorothy? If she was like, I'm Dorothy, they probably would be like, get her.
they would have thrown her out of that city immediately.
but you
They're
also
like,
tell me no one is named Dorothy in the Emerald City.
I don't know.
I don't know. It seems like a very like Kansas type of name, not a fairy country
Yeah,
type of name.
we're talking like Zanzibars and Caneedles that are living there.
yeah,
or something.
or
yeah.
HGTIF P.
Yeah, HETIFP.
That's a microaggression.
This is so.
No Dorothy's here. No Dorothy's
but
here.
they do. I mean, they go to the gates of the palace, and the soldier with the whiskers. He is in the book. His whiskers
Yeah.
aren't as formidable.
Not green either, which
yeah.
they're green in the book.
But he's got a pretty impressive stash. And he lets them in to see the wizard only after hearing Dorothy's sob story.
and also hearing the lion do a song.
Yeah, that brought him out.
Yeah.
But in the book, I don't really remember what got them in. I think it was basically like, she's the witch's... No,
It was
The Silver Kiss.
It was the silver
the
kiss.
kiss, yep.
So that's a difference, which is in the movie, it's the slippers that not only impress the guard at the gate, and they also impress the soldier. But the slippers don't really have anything to do with it in the book. It's like, I have the kiss. This is symbol of the Witch of the West. Frankly, it's a good thing no one notices silver slippers, because they probably would have been like, oh shit, that's the silver slippers of the Wicked Witch of the East. Like, it's a good thing no one looked down.
Yeah, they're like,
true,
Yeah.
She's a witch.
she's on a
Yeah.
transformation.
But in the movie, it's all about the shoes, though. So that's what gets them in the movie, and they all go in at once, which is
Yeah,
different.
that's different. Yeah, they don't have to wait all week to go in and see them. They just all go in and see the giant head.
Yeah, which that's another thing that's similar to the book is we do get to see Oz as a giant head, and there's a lot of fire, which is really giving me like Fireball, which is what he is for the lion. But everything else, well, okay. Dorothy goes first. She introduces herself,
The
which is
scene
the
is
same as the book.
hilarious.
Yeah, the scene overall is hilarious. Yes, because Dorothy introduces herself as Dorothy the Small and Meek. He yells at her. She runs away, and everyone's Jiminy Crickets. But then a difference in the book. The Scarecrow goes, and then the Tin Woodman, which is the opposite in the movie. But then the lion goes last and is super scared, as always. They're all scared. But he tells him the same thing.
Kill the witch.
Yeah, bring him the broomstick. But this time, no tears. They don't go crying.
Yeah.
They don't go boo-hooing.
No Jamila Jam to put him in their place.
Yeah, no Jamila Jam. So anyway, no tears. They just decide to go. And that's it. I mean, there's nothing else that happens. And that's the end of section 4, Field of Poppies. Blake, what would you call that?
Ain't got no tears left to cry.
Part 5, The Witch's Castle.
This is the last cocktail, right?
Unless there's a surprise cocktail for the final part.
Well, if it's called the
gonna die of alcohol
headache, bring it on. What? Tell me about this one. What?
No.
You do not need another cocktail.
So what we're drinking here is the Witch's Brew. So it is going to be light and refreshing. It is lemon. We steeped some green tea in vodka overnight. So it's some green tea vodka, a little green chartreuse for an herbal layer.
Smells good.
It probably tastes pretty bitter, like medicine.
Great.
All right. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Oh, that's tart.
Woo!
Oh,
That's
that's
gonna be
actually
fun.
that's
good.
not
That's
that
good for the
bad.
summertime.
That is. I didn't think I would like it because I don't like green tea, but something about this is different.
That's a lot of lemon. There's twice as much lemon as vodka in this.
Yum.
So we find ourselves in the haunted forest, and the witch. She doesn't send bees. She doesn't send wolves. She doesn't send winkies. She goes straight to the monkeys, and they attack.
Well, and even before this, a difference. They don't have to. We don't see them walking through a wasteland. They're not in a world where there's no trees. They're in a haunted forest.
It's just like a forest with dark trees.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're not looking for the one tree they can take a nap under.
With the sign that says like, "I'd turn back if I were you."
Oh yeah, there's just a couple of signs that are like, "Don't go any further." But yeah, there's no murder wolves, no crows, none of that. The witch just says, "Hey, go get her. And
Honestly, the movie Witch is smarter because the winged monkeys were the only ones that
I know.
were successful.
Granted,
And they were honestly,
She didn't waste time.
they were
Yeah.
less successful than the ones in the book, though, because in the book they ripped the Scarecrow to pieces. They dashed the Tin Woodman against the sharp, jagged rocks, and they like kidnapped Dorothy and the Lion and
Well,
Toto.
didn't the scarecrow get ripped apart?
yeah, they ripped
He
the
did,
Scarecrow apart.
but they left the Lion and Tin Man
Yeah.
able
That's
to
right.
help him.
They
Yeah.
did.
Because
yeah.
we don't like in the book after this attack from the winged monkeys,
They
we
were
don't see the
screwed.
Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman until Dorothy comes
Yeah,
back.
they're
and
honestly
rescues
just
them.
kind of laying there for like a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
however long she was there.
Yeah, no, it's very different. Also, interestingly, in the movie, something, I guess the spirits lift the Tin Woodman up and then drop him like 20 feet
Yeah,
away.
what was that?
Which, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, that's the winged monkeys.
I thought it was the winged monkeys too.
but it wasn't.
it was just a
because-
random thing.
Unless the monkeys were just out doing crimes on their own, and like, but I don't think they would be. I don't know. It was strange, but also by way of that, I'm like, okay, the Tin Woodman got attacked.
Yeah,
but it's
not
different in the book.
obliterated though.
Yes, no. In the book, they had to like rebuild him,
Yeah.
like from magic or whatever the fuck.
So we've successfully kidnapped Dorothy and Toto, and I guess Toto's just kind of like a bargaining chip, which is a
He's-
kind of fun thing. For
He's
the
just
movie.
being abused by the witch, and this is the
she's just pinching him.
second time Toto is put into a basket, and by the same woman
Same
in
woman.
slightly different makeup.
yeah.
Also, Terry.
She's out to get him.
Yeah,
She is. The way that Terry handles all of these costumes and makeup and sudden movements is honestly kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like our animals who know us super well would be scared
yeah.
if we showed up in these costumes. you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely not. Terry must be desensitized, and while it's common, like in a lot of movies today, to have like multiple animals playing a dog, maybe not if they're like an animal, maybe not if they're gonna be like a main character, but like it's not uncommon. But this is one dog the whole time, and he does it all. He sings, he dances, he does
sings.
stunts. We're gonna get into the stunts because this is a big Terry scene for me. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, Toto saves the day, really.
Yeah.
He really does.
God, it just goes to show the more you pinch a dog, the better it'll be.
Yeah. So another difference though in this book, right, is that the slippers have the magic that prevents the witch from taking them. So the witch goes down there, she gets a little electric shock, and she's like, oh, of course, the damned shoes. And she's like, okay, well, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, the
And
shoes
that's it.
will never come off your feet unless you're dead.
Yeah,
But
so
I can't
she's-
just kill you. I have to be smart about
Yeah,
it.
she's like, I have to be particular. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's
what
like,
does that mean?
yeah, that's horrifying.
It's probably really evil, is what it means.
It is
honestly.
nefarious.
I wanna
And
know the
Dorothy's like,
blueprints.
just give me my dog. Give me
Yeah.
my dog.
But Toto, what he does is heroic.
He jumps out of a basket for
He-
the second time.
He runs through the hall, down the stairs. He runs up a closing drawbridge, leaps, and this is all practical effects. He's not on a wire, folks. This isn't CGI.
Yeah.
He leaps probably 10 feet onto an edge, gets spears thrown at him.
I kind of
Scales a
screamed
mountain.
when he
And
was jumping down.
I screamed too. I also screamed when he was running down that mountainside that
Yeah,
later
the
on they
mountainside.
scale.
That's what it was.
It was
And
like
that's
a
another
20-foot
thing.
cliff face.
Okay, these people in costumes are throwing their spears at you, and you're still just like, yes, okay, let's go
Yeah.
back toward those things later when we film again.
Yeah,
Crazy.
he has extremely bad short-term memory. Like every few seconds he's like, "Where am I? I'm fine."
He doesn't
But,
have an option.
I mean, we get lucky in the movie, though. Now we're in the final throes, final battle kind of situation because Terry's going to save or to lead our friends back to Dorothy,
Yeah.
which, if it was the book, the witch would have to be killed before we ever saw them again.
Yeah.
But Terry knows where to go. Toto.
Sorry,
You did this to me.
It's Toto, yeah. But also, by the time Toto gets back to them, they're still just putting the scarecrow back together. Yeah, and it's like, okay, so the witch has already gotten Dorothy, threatened to kill her, imprisoned Toto, and then Toto has mounted an escape, and then he has found his friends, and they're still putting the scarecrow back together. It's insane.
Yeah, there's more
I
than
mean, he
one
was
of them without a
all
brain.
over the place.
He was. I guess that's true, and they don't have stacks of money to
They
stuff
took my
into
hoodies
him.
and they took it over there.
Oh, yeah.
They took it over there.
Yeah, he says that. But somehow, though, they glean from Toto's appearance that he can lead them to Dorothy, so they follow him, and then they scale the cliff.
Yeah, they scale the cliff themselves. They're scoping out the castle, like making a plan.
Yeah,
I love
which-
that.
Something else, something interesting is that all the Winkies are green, just like the witch, which in the book, of course, the Winkies' favorite color is yellow. If they were going to be any color, it's going to be yellow.
Yeah.
But they're all green to match the witch, which I think is a fun design choice, but also tells an interesting story.
They get jumped by those 3 Winkies.
Yeah, well,
And Hannah said one of them was hot, but I missed it.
probably many of them were hot.
Yeah, I think it was more the body of like how he like jumped on them.
So you like that he was athletic.
And then when I saw the face, I was like, oh, never mind. I was like, oh,
He's old.
that's an old man.
Of course, they win the fight and they go into the castle with Toto. Like, they get those disguises, those Winky disguises. Toto doesn't need a disguise, even though he was just being speared.
Yeah, he was just.
They should remember him.
They should have remembered
should
him
remember
because they
him.
acted like it was a big deal.
Yeah,
he
pretend
left.
you got him as a prisoner or something.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, come on, follow me. Woof, woof.
But yeah, so Terry follows them in. He's being super sweet. He shows them to Dorothy's door. He's digging at the door. He's trying to get in. And then all of a sudden, here's Johnny. And the Tin Woodman goes fucking Jack Nicholson in The Shining on this door. Dorothy is just screaming while she's not screaming. She's screaming in joy.
She
She's
is
happy.
like, oh, oh.
Yeah, it's horrifying. But yeah, the Tin Woodman is just butchering this door. It's crazy.
Now, all of this is replacing, like, the witch trying to trip Dorothy with invisible irons and stuff.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the stairs that I imagine her being tripped on in the book are featured prominently in the
She's
film.
right at the top of them.
Yeah, Toto runs down them. They all run up them. They all run down them again. It's like a
think
game
you're
of
right.
shoots and fucking ladders, man.
you're right.
It seems like a reference, though.
Yeah.
So, chasing, chasing.
And
kiki.
Toto hates the Winky Army. He hates them. And then we get to, kind of not the end, but I think a fun middle point when they like look up and see a chandelier. They're kind of cornered. And the Scarecrow grabs the Tin Woodman's arm and then like uses his axe
Another
to cut
good
a
idea.
rope. It is. It's a great idea, fucking Scarecrow. Which is exactly how it is in the book, which is a good job.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they do
He's
that.
got the brains.
Yeah. And then at that point, they do go on a full tour of the castle. We get inside views. We get outside views. They have like a drone above the
This
castle.
castle's amazing.
It's insane. It's
Huge.
beautiful. Like beautiful in like this is made in the 1940s way.
They're
Plus-
like on the cliffs of Dover.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's insane. But eventually they do get cornered.
Hella cornered, like in
Yeah.
a little like lighthouse tower.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was wondering why they were just going up.
It was like, yeah, why up?
You'll never find
You're
your way
gonna
out if you
get
go up.
stuck. You're gonna
I
get
promise
stuck.
you're going the wrong way.
A big difference from the book. Dorothy actually has a real reason to throw
Yeah,
the water
she's not just
on the
mad.
wind. Yeah, she's trying to put a fire out so her friend doesn't die.
Also, that fire got really close to Terry's face.
Oh, Terry's
super close.
Toto's face?
She was holding Toto right next to the Scarecrow, and when she lights that arm on fire, the Scarecrow basically throws it in Terry's face. Go back and watch. That fire is too close to that dog. I did not like it at
Not
all.
safe.
Yeah,
He
well-
should not be inhaling that smoke.
No, God knows what it's made of, chemicals. But Dorothy throws the water. We get the iconic melting, I'm melting scene. Oh, what a world.
What a world.
Tori goes and inspects the corpse, says it's all good. He just
Tori.
digs at it.
She doesn't
Huh?
get mopped up.
Tori.
Oh, Toto.
Sorry.
I gave it. That's actually my dad's name, but it was morphing into Terry. Toto goes and inspects the corpse like a good boy, and just like in the book,
Yeah, he-
the Winkies are like, "Thank you."
Certifies she's dead, and
Yeah,
on we go. Back to the Emerald City.
yeah, and that's the end of Section 5, the Witch's Castle. And Blake, what would you tell that? No, what would you call that?
What would I call that? My name is Terry. I'm so very fly. Oh my, it's a little bit scary. Boys wanna marry. Looking at my dairy. Yeah, you can stare, but if you touch it, I'm a berry. Pretty as a picture, sweeter than a swisher. Mad 'cause I'm cuter than the puppy that's with ya. I don't remember the words.
What?
You don't remember the words?
You
That's
just
what you're
sang us
saying?
the whole song.
That was the entire thing. Part 6, the finale.
I'm getting very book wizard in this section.
Yeah, my first note is just like in the book, the wizard tries to postpone. So they made it back to the Emerald City, no troubles apparently, and they're already at the Emerald, or talking to the, well, I guess the guard, and they're like, "Let us fucking in."
Yeah. Yeah. And then I guess, I mean, Toto does something pretty iconic that I loved watching him do. I mean, Hannah, when we were watching it, you like described it as they tied a string to Toto and he just like ran away.
Well, they tied a string to the or they tied it was like attached to the curtain and they tied Toto to it.
Okay,
And
so
then they
that's
must
how
have
he
like
opened
called
it?
him over, and so he like moved.
I've never noticed that
I never
before.
noticed that.
Really?
I thought he did
actually.
it with his mouth.
I just assumed, yeah. But I mean, that's a pretty big. That would be a huge training moment for him.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Also, though, this is different from the book because in the book, Toto gets scared and then he accidentally runs into the curtain that unveils the wizard. But in here, Toto is just in the
That's
movie. I mean,
right.
Toto is just
Yeah.
smart and he's like, "Hey, like something's happening over
He's like,
here.
"I
There's
can
something
sniff this
smells.
little guy out."
Yeah, something smells."
Toto's like, I could have gotten you home hours ago. I'm sick of this game. Like, let's
Yeah.
Let's get a move
go.
on.
Toto's Belina in this.
But they call him a humbug.
Yeah, he's a
Bottom
humbug,
line.
Yeah,
just like he
humbug.
is.
Yeah.
They even keep that line that's like, I'm a very good man. I'm just a very bad
I was
wizard.
gonna say, yeah, love that. And it's, I mean, I don't even know if that's true, but I like that it rings true.
Also, Wizard's hilarious.
oh yeah,
Love this guy.
the comedy overall in this is so good. And
This
it's
movie
a
is-
little bit lost.
He
Funny.
does seem like he cares a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
About like what he is giving them.
He
I
seems more
guess.
guilty too in the movie.
Yeah.
like he's actually like, "Oh, I'm sorry," but you know what? You get more character in an actor than you do from the text.
He like wasn't even a character in the book. He was just like, here's like your fake shit. Here's like, let's build a hot air balloon
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And so, okay, that's two differences though, right? Because here in the book, he's like, "Okay, come back tomorrow or whatever," but he's like, I'll actually have solutions for 3 of you." But Dorothy, well, we'll see, or whatever. But here he immediately gives the 3 boys all their wishes.
Yeah, he has like, it's not the same things they
No.
get because like it's a clock instead of a sawdust heart and like a diploma, instead of
Instead of a hedge full of nails.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, I wonder why they changed that.
The children would
like,
have been scared.
the lion doesn't have to drink something disgusting. He just
Yeah.
like gets a badge.
Which also,
But if he had these things, why did he tell them to come back tomorrow?
I guess, I mean,
It was all right there.
because he'd
sir.
have to reveal himself in
He
that
was a
moment.
murderer, honestly, because he was just
Oh
expecting
yeah, he wanted
them
them to die.
Yeah, he was just expecting them
He was
not to come
hoping.
back or be enslaved by the witch, and
Yeah, just
he would
as
have to worry
awful.
about it,
Yikes.
Yeah.
which is pretty fucked up.
Something
if you ask me.
interesting though, which I don't think we ever really mentioned this because we only ever would have had one episode of it really. But the whole like lion drinking that like liquid, that's booze, right? Like that's alcohol.
Oh, like he has
liquid
liquid
courage.
courage.
I've never mentioned it before. It's just like hasn't been the
Interesting.
time.
I've never
We're
thought
gonna
about
drink
that.
some liquid courage later
I'm
tonight.
full of it.
I'm pretty full of it. But anyway, but that's why it wore off also is my
That's
thought
actually
process.
really interesting. I think you're absolutely right. You
Yeah.
have to be
I
right.
do love that.
So
Which
anyway.
explains why he went right back to being a coward when it was
Yeah,
over.
his buzz came down.
Also, the way that the wizard came about, or like how he became the ruler, is different.
Oh yeah, it's more
Yeah.
like it's more in line with what we learn in later books, where it's like, okay, he wasn't there when it was built. Like he kind of arrived, and people were like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, when he
make
came
him our
down, they
ruler.
thought he
Yeah.
was magic. Yeah.
But yeah, but
But
it's different in the book.
what's interesting
Yeah.
is in that part when he's talking about that, he says he's a Kansas man, which
Oh, yeah,
I thought
but
he was from Nebraska.
He's from Omaha
Because
because
the hot air balloon still says like Omaha State Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
I think it might just be like, oh, that's interesting actually though.
Like he's from Kansas, but he performed in Omaha, I guess.
I mean, it is.
I think he was from-
flying hot air balloon. Maybe it went.
I mean, he traveled too. Like that
Yeah.
was like part of his gig.
Very interesting. Well, speaking of the hot air balloon, I mean, are we ready to go there?
Well, yeah. The difference being that in the book they had to remake it.
Yeah,
And-
it's in pristine condition.
Yeah, here, but
ready
I mean,
to fly. It's fly ready.
He did clarify that like he kept it in good condition in case he needed to get a quick getaway, which is like you're a fucking crook and it's funny because you're doing it for good now.
Yeah,
but
but
it was
also,
just like,
like,
dude.
Those witches could have had you at any moment.
Does he really think he'd be able to get away in a hot air balloon? Like,
He doesn't even know how to fly the thing.
yeah, and that's not faster than a broom. No wonder he wanted
No.
to take the witch's broom.
Yeah, he was like, kill her and bring me the broom. Like, I'm trying to get home. But we're at the ceremony. All of Oz is there. They don't really react, I don't think, too much to like Dorothy and the gang so much as they're like, oh, the wizard's leaving. But
Yeah, because he doesn't like ascribe the Scarecrow to being the new ruler in his stead or anything like that, does he?
Well,
He
he
does.
gave all of them the power,
Yeah.
or like the.
he starts with the Scarecrow. He says, hey, the Scarecrow, by virtue of his great mind, will rule in my stead, joined by the other two.
You're
Yeah.
right.
But I get the impression that
and we don't
it's an
even
homage to
hear
the book.
anything about the
wink-
Winkies.
But they don't, yeah.
The Winkies that were kind of, they were
Yeah.
enslaved and they
Yeah.
became free.
They just went back to
None of
whatever they
that.
were doing before, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I
Um,
think is honestly better because
Yeah.
an exterior like person coming in and helping you from someone else's exterior and then taking over is just colonialism.
So then Toto chases that damn cat, which is the same in the book,
Yeah.
but I just don't understand why that woman had that cat with her.
She wanted her cat to see them off.
and they were like, let's get a Siamese. No one's ever
Oh, I
seen
know.
that
It was
before.
beautiful.
It was
But-
quite cute.
It's interesting because like we talked about at the top, right? Like a completely different reason from the beginning, but like in the beginning it's still Toto's fault that they end up going to Oz. In the end, it's still Toto's fault
This
that
is
they
like
stay there.
deliberately his fault because in the beginning
Yeah.
it was like, I mean, it was technically his fault, but
It
it
was
was
a
a big
constellation
In
reach.
the
of
big
faults.
picture
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he
This is
started
like,
it.
He
but-
ran away and she missed her fucking flight.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
'cause just like in the book,
Oh,
the wizard.
please wait for me.
I can't. I don't know how to fly this.
Yeah.
And also the wizard bragging for like 5 whole minutes about how he's an expert balloon flyer.
Yeah.
And then he immediately gets in the air and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do."
Yeah,
I don't know how
he's-
to fly this
Like,
thing.
He's such a
Excuse
joke. I
me?
hope to never see him again.
Humbug.
But then in this movie, you do not go to Glinda. Glinda comes to you every single time.
I have a comment on this. Does anybody know what the Scarecrow said? He said, I think that there's someone coming to help you or something similar when he saw Glinda, and he points to Glinda. So he knows who Glinda is. Maybe Dorothy already told him about it. But I was like, does he know because he's a
Did he know
munchkin?
about the
like,
pop? Oh,
I
'cause-
would go with.
well, they wouldn't know that she saved him in the poppies, though.
I would go
Yeah,
with
no.
it's from a story Dorothy told him.
Okay, yeah, that
That's
makes
what
sense.
I would think.
But I just thought it was interesting because I was like, we haven't seen him like witness.
They haven't been in the
fucking
same room
Glinda.
together.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, just interesting. But then yes, Glinda lands in her little bubble, and everyone is bowing to her, just like in the Munchkin Land, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah. And Glinda does something infuriating.
Yeah, and the thing that's especially infuriating is they make it as if there's a lesson to be learned.
Yeah,
'Cause-
recite an essay to me before you can go home, Dorothy.
Well, but there was, I mean, but the shoes, like, okay. I need to slow down.
Take a breath. Take a breath.
Glinda, it's all very much, you had the power all along. And they make it into this thing where Dorothy learned that she actually just needed to love her home. But it's like, well, actually, Dorothy, you just needed to be told about the magic. Because
That's what it
actually,
seems like.
that's it. Like, all she needed to do, like we already talked about, Glinda could have told her from the beginning because she already knew.
Why didn't you tell me? You don't know what lessons I need to learn. You don't fucking
Yeah.
know me.
You know what's so annoying about the end of this, especially with Glinda, when you like, because in the book, when we see Glinda and we meet her, she does one of the most heroic things I've ever seen. And she freed those winged monkeys with the golden cap.
Yeah.
And here, She pisses everyone off. And I'm
Honestly.
like, who's the Glinda that I knew?
And
Because
speaking of
this
the
isn't her.
Speaking of the winged monkeys, they just do everything by their own, like they're very deliberate with it, and they're a part of the witch's evil plans.
Yeah, my only
There's no
thought
curse?
because she holds the golden cap in that scene.
Oh, she does have that cap.
But like,
But she uses them twice.
Exactly. It doesn't frame it like she gets 3 tries, but I think that the setup is that she has dominion over them because
Okay.
of that.
I buy that.
I agree, though. It's a different setup that we don't know.
But yes, like I totally agree with what you're saying, Hannah. Because like in the book, Glinda wasn't even there until the end. So like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
she tells Dorothy, like, "Oh, those slippers you're wearing, those can get you home." Like that's not annoying. It's annoying, but Glinda's not annoying because she wasn't there the whole time.
Yeah.
You came and asked. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
But like now, Glinda was there at the very beginning, gave her the shoes, and now showing up at the end is like, you could have gone home the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck
Yeah.
you.
You just
She
had a
was there
lesson to
since-
learn.
She was there since the beginning. Which
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, oh,
she
no.
fucking met you at the door.
Yeah.
She
She was
met
like-
you as you stepped foot.
Yeah.
I didn't see those
On top.
poppies coming into play. Let me wake you up real quick so you can
Right.
keep walking in those
She's
horrible
the
slippers.
first and last one to see them, and she knew the whole time.
What a
But
bitch.
she does reveal that all she has to do is click her little heels 3 times and say there's no place like home, and then she'll go home, which is a departure from the book where she would have needed to just take 3 steps to go wherever she desired.
Too
So-
bad this all took place in a day because she might have accidentally done that in her sleep, just like clicked her heels and said there's no place like home while she's sleeping. Because she said there's no place like home like 6 times in that
Yeah,
book.
that's true. Actually, that's like part of her language.
Yeah.
Part of her vocabulary.
But
Sorry, Jinx. LOL. But yeah, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. We're back in Kansas.
and Dorothy just wakes up, and all of a sudden it's a dream, which we know is just nonsense.
Yeah, like Em and Hen are just right there waiting for her to wake up. So I'm like, how long has it been?
Yeah,
And
and
like,
also
was it
things.
concerning?
Well, because things didn't. Well, Hen says that it was touch and go. They didn't know if they were going to lose her for a while or something like that.
Gosh, she
Yeah,
probably had
and
like a
did-
fever.
Yeah.
Did the cyclone even happen?
So it makes me
Yes,
wonder
I think
because
so.
because the house, well, okay, that's true because we saw everyone else reacting to it not through Dorothy's eyes. But the house looks fine. The window isn't broken, but is it there? It's open. Everyone goes and stands in it.
It's
And she
wide
wasn't in
open.
the storm cellar with them, so maybe they were just concerned for her because she's passed out on the bed after a tornado just hit.
Yeah, you're right.
I think that the tornado did happen because she was like, that was before she saw that thing. Everyone saw that thing before she hit her head.
Yeah.
So I think that it was actually there, but it didn't hit the house.
It wasn't as bad
It,
as
like,
it looked.
yeah.
It
Well, it was in the
I
background.
think it was as bad as it looked. It just changed course and she
Yeah.
Went a
didn't
different
fly
way.
away.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't keep going. Well, it's interesting too because she could have been asleep for 2 hours and that's it. Like, and then she woke up. It was still light out, so it all did happen in a day. But like, yeah, so she was knocked out for 2 hours. They swept up her room, put her on top of her bed in the same outfit.
The timeline thing is also confusing for me because Professor Marvel comes and he's like, "Oh, hey, I heard the kid had a real scare. Just
Yeah.
checking in." And it's like, "Well, how'd you hear that? Who'd
He's
you hear
trying to
that
take
from?"
her.
And how does he know them exactly?
I've
Yeah.
come to snatch the child.
So
Yeah.
I'll take her with me now when she's healthy.
What if Miss Gulch showed up in the window and she's like, "I'm here for the dog," and they're like,
Oh my
"Oh, you were
God.
there, you were there."
No.
But yeah, the farmhands show up too. Dorothy tells everyone they were there.
Toto teleports onto the bed all of a sudden.
He be teleporting.
He
They
be
just, like-
teleporting.
They'll just like laugh Dorothy out of the room, telling her it's not real, which I find just frustrating
I
because
mean, that's
she's
what I would do.
she's also just like, well, I guess it couldn't have been real, but it felt so real, and they're all my friends forever anyway. But I mean, we all agree that it did not happen, right? Like, there's no question about it in the movie.
Yeah,
It did
in
not.
Yeah.
the movie, yeah. I feel like it has to be a dream
Yeah. Like, so
because the house is still there.
well, yeah, the house is still there. Well, that's
Yeah, Henry
okay.
had to
if
build a
nothing
whole
else,
other
that's
farm
it. The
with
house
it.
is still there. She's in the same room, and she wasn't out for.
And
4
dreams
weeks.
seem longer in when you're asleep than in
Yeah.
real time.
And I
you
mean,
know?
and she could have been out for a day. Like, who fucking knows? You know. But the whole thing lasted a day, so like that would be fine.
Yeah. It seemed like a whole day, but I mean, she, like you said, she could have been knocked out for 2 hours.
Yeah. But the dream thing just really fucks it up for everybody and is obviously a huge difference. And that's really the last difference we have because our little lady's home. There's yeah.
No, keep talking.
There's really no hope of a sequel to this movie. It's been 80 years, so we really know that. But that's where we're going to wrap it up for our recap of the 1939 feature film starring Judy Garland.
It was fun. I loved watching it.
Yeah.
We all love watching it. Everybody
it's been a
else
while
loved
for
watching
me,
it.
so it was nice revisiting it with my knowledge.
Yes, yeah. And there'll be more to come, right? Because like
Yes.
there's
We
a
have a
lot
lot to
more
say.
behind the scenes stuff, you know, or even just like I don't know. There's a lot to unpack and talk about. And we'll be doing more other movie episodes in the future. But
You'll be meeting us yet. We just have to get back to the books real quick.
yes. Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time as we continue our reading journey with Book 4, Dorothy and the Wizard in Oz. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcast for the latest on everything Oz. Oz Hour, created and hosted by Blake Stone and Wyatt Swingham. Co-hosted by Hannah Aguirre. Audio production by Charlie Johnson. Theme music written and performed by Rudy Klobus. Cover art by Valentin Lucas.